I missed 10 calls last night, all from my own number, dated 1 year in the future. The voicemail said, don't lose him, but I didn't even know who he was yet. I noticed the missed call while brushing my teeth. My phone lit up once and went dark again. No ringtone, no vibration, just a quiet glow on the counter. One missed call. Caller ID. My own name. I laughed under my breath and told myself it was a glitch. Maybe my phone had duplicated a contact. Maybe I had pocket dialed myself somehow. I wiped my mouth and picked it up, already bored of the mystery. Then I saw the timestamp. March 18th, next year. I stared at it longer than I should have. The bathroom felt too still. My reflection looked like it was waiting for me to understand something I didn't want to know yet. A voicemail notification appeared. I didn't press play immediately. Seeing my own name felt wrong, like opening a diary entry written by someone who knew how my life ended. I lowered the volume anyway and listened. My voice filled the room. Older, quieter, like it had learned how to whisper instead of hope. If you're hearing this, please don't hang up. I know you think this is impossible, but listen to me. Don't lose him. Please, I'm begging you. That was it. No explanation. No name. Just fear, wrapped in my own voice. I sat on the edge of my bed, phone still in my hand. I tried to say the words out loud, just to see if I could sound that broken. I couldn't. Not yet. I deleted the voicemail. It felt dramatic to keep it. It felt silly to believe it. And it felt safer to pretend it never happened. That night, I dreamed my phone was ringing at the bottom of a pool. I could hear it clearly, but every time I reached for it, the sound drifted farther away. I woke up at exactly 3:17 a.m. My phone screen was glowing. Another missed call. Same number. Same future date. This time I didn't delete the voicemail. My future voice sounded sharper now, angry, like someone who had already warned me once and was tired of being ignored. This is where you mess it up. You stay quiet and pretend you're fine. He walks away because you let him. Say something. Fight for him. Please don't repeat this. I pressed the phone against my chest, breathing too fast. I didn't know who he was, but somehow, deep in my bones, I knew he mattered. And I knew that whatever I chose to ignore tonight would come back to haunt me 1 year from now. If your future self warned you once, would you listen or pretend it never happened? By the third missed call, I stopped calling it coincidence. By the fifth, I stopped sleeping. Every call came at 3:17 a.m. Every caller ID showed my name. Every timestamp was exactly 1 year ahead. The voicemails changed. They became longer, more specific. My future voice started sounding less afraid and more tired, like someone reliving the same regret again and again. You think there's time. There isn't. He needs you to choose him out loud. I started writing everything down. Dates, words, the way my voice paused before saying him like the name hurt too much to speak. I searched my contacts constantly, hoping one name would suddenly make sense. Nothing did. Then one morning, at a bus stop I was already late to, someone bumped into me and spilled coffee all over my notebook. Oh God, I'm so sorry, he said, scrambling for napkins. He apologized like he expected me to be angry, like anger was something he deserved. He smiled after, soft, nervous, real. Something inside me shifted. Not fireworks, not love, recognition. That night, my phone rang again. This time, I answered. There was silence, static breathing. Then my future voice whispered, barely holding together. That's him. The call ended. I stood there staring at the wall, notebook still stained with coffee, his smile replaying in my head like a memory I hadn't earned yet. We'd started talking after that, small conversations, safe ones, weather, books, missed buses, things that didn't risk anything. Every time I pulled back, another call came. He thinks you don't care. You're doing it again. Say something now. I hated how accurate she was. I hated that she sounded like someone who had already lost everything I was just beginning to touch. So I changed small things. I replied faster. I asked questions. I stayed instead of leaving first. I let him see parts of me I usually kept quiet. For a while, the call stopped. I told myself I'd fixed it. I told myself the future was wrong. Then one night, my phone rang again. My future voice sounded calm. And somehow, that terrified me more than all the crying ever had. This is the moment you think everything is okay, she said softly. It isn't. I lay awake until morning, staring at the ceiling, knowing that somewhere ahead of me was a version of myself who had already watched him walk away, and she was still trying to save us both. Do you think changing small actions can really change the future? The first sign was silence, not the obvious kind, not unanswered messages or missed calls. It was quieter than that. His replies still came, but they were shorter, less curious, like he was standing a step farther away each day and hoping I wouldn't notice. I noticed, because my phone did too. The missed calls returned 3 nights in a row. You feel it, don't you? This is when you convince yourself you're overthinking. You're not. I wanted to argue with her, with myself. I wanted to believe distance didn't always mean goodbye. But my future voice had lost the softness now. She spoke like someone reading instructions that had already failed once. He thinks he's bothering you. He thinks you're choosing everything else over him. You never correct him. The worst part was how small the moments were. A delayed reply, a canceled plan, a smile that didn't quite reach his eyes. Nothing dramatic enough to confront, nothing obvious enough to fix without feeling foolish. So I stayed quiet. That night, the call came earlier than usual, 3:16 a.m. I answered without thinking. You're doing it again, my future self said. Her voice cracked immediately. You're waiting for proof when all he needs is reassurance. I don't know what to say, I whispered. I did, she replied. I waited too, and then it was too late. The line went dead. The next day, I asked him how he was doing. Not casually, not safely. I asked like I actually wanted the answer. He hesitated before responding. I didn't think you noticed, he said. That sentence followed me all day. That night, he told me he felt like he was always the one reaching out, that he wasn't sure if he mattered as much as he wanted to. He laughed when he said it, like it was a joke he'd practiced. I remembered another voicemail. He hides it well, but he's tired. I told him I cared. I told him I wasn't going anywhere. The words felt fragile in my mouth, like glass ornaments that could shatter if I held them too tightly. For a moment, it worked. The calls stopped again. Weeks passed. We laughed more. He leaned closer. I let myself believe that awareness was enough, that knowing the future meant I could outrun it. Then one evening, my phone buzzed with a voicemail notification. No missed call, just the message. My future voice sounded hollow. This is where hope becomes habit, she said quietly. You think love survives on intentions alone? It doesn't. I stared at the screen, realizing something I hadn't wanted to admit. I was reacting, not choosing. And the future wasn't asking me to notice him. It was asking me to fight for him before he stopped waiting. Do you believe love fades slowly or disappears all at once? The night it nearly ended didn't feel dramatic. There was no argument, no raised voices, just a pause that lasted too long. We were sitting across from each other, sharing a late dinner that had gone cold. He kept stirring his food, not eating, like he was trying to gather courage from the motion. I don't know where I stand with you, he said finally. The words landed softly, but they hit something deep inside me. I remembered a voicemail from weeks ago. This is the sentence you'll replay forever. I took a breath. I wanted to say the perfect thing. I wanted to be certain before I spoke. That hesitation was all it took. He nodded slowly, like my silence had answered for me. I figured, he said, not bitter, just tired. My phone vibrated in my pocket. I didn't need to check it to know who it was. I care about you, I said quickly, the words tripping over each other. I moved slowly. I don't always know how to say things out loud. He looked up, surprised. Hope flickered, cautious and unsure. I don't need perfection, he said. I just need to know I'm not alone in this. Another vibration. I imagined my future self screaming into the void. Tell him now, she had said once, not later. Later is a lie you tell yourself. I want you here, I said. I want to try. I don't want to lose this. The words felt terrifying and freeing at the same time, like stepping off a ledge and discovering the ground was closer than you feared. He smiled, just a little. Relief softened his shoulders. That night, the call finally came through, instead of cutting out. I can't believe you almost didn't say it, my future voice whispered, half laughing, half crying. You were one breath away from becoming me. I held the phone against my ear long after the line went dead. For the first time, I didn't feel chased by the future. I felt like I had interrupted it. Days passed without calls, then weeks. Life grew normal in the way happiness often does, quietly and without announcement. I stopped waiting for 3:17 a.m. I stopped checking my screen for warnings. I started believing the worst was behind us. Then one afternoon, he didn't text back. An hour passed, then two. I told myself not to panic. People get busy. Silence doesn't always mean distance. That night, the missed call returned. My future voice sounded different now. Not desperate, not angry, resigned. You saved this moment, she said softly, but you didn't save us. I sat up in bed, heart racing. What do you mean? I whispered. Her breath trembled on the other end. There are 10 calls, she said. You've only heard 4. The line went dead. I stared at the darkness, realizing the future hadn't finished with me yet. And whatever was coming next wasn't something words alone could fix. Do you think one honest moment can change everything, or only delay the ending? After that night, I started counting. Not days, not weeks, calls. There had been 4 so far. 4 warnings, 4 chances. My future self had said there were 10. The number sat in my chest like a deadline I couldn't see. He was still there, still smiling, still reaching for my hand like nothing had shifted. But something had. I could feel it in the way my phone felt heavier in my pocket, in the way silence no longer felt neutral. The 5th call came 2 nights later. I answered immediately. You're finally listening, my future voice said. She sounded older now, not just tired, worn down by time. Tell me what I'm missing, I said. Tell me how to stop this. She laughed softly without humor. That's the problem, she replied. You think there's a trick, a sentence, a moment where everything locks in place. What is it then? I asked. Consistency, she said. Love doesn't disappear in explosions. It fades in pauses, in almosts, in later. The word stayed with me. Later. Later was every time I wanted to speak but waited. Later was every emotion I edited down to something safer. Later was how I loved without fully showing it. He needs to feel chosen, she continued. Not occasionally. Not when you're afraid of losing him. Always. I swallowed hard. Do I lose him? I asked. There was a long pause. You do, she said quietly. Just not all at once. The call ended. The next day I paid attention in ways I hadn't before. I noticed how often he waited for me to decide things, how often he checked my face before finishing a sentence, how often he softened himself to fit the space I gave him. That night, I told him I appreciated him, not casually, not as an afterthought. I told him directly. He smiled, but something flickered behind his eyes. Surprise mixed with caution. You don't usually say things like that, he said. I'm learning, I replied. For a while it helped. The space between us narrowed again. We laughed more easily. I almost believed I had outrun the future completely. Then the 6th call came. My future voice sounded broken in a way I hadn't heard yet. This is where he starts believing you only speak when you're scared, she said. Not because you want to. Tears filled my eyes. I do want to, I whispered. I know, she replied. I just didn't show it often enough. The line went dead. I lay awake until morning, understanding something that hurt more than any warning before it. The future wasn't punishing me. It was repeating me. And unless I learned how to love without waiting for fear to push me, the next calls would keep coming. Do you think love should be spoken every day, or only when it feels necessary? After the 6th call, I stopped waiting for my phone to wake me. I started waking before it. Every night around 3 a.m., my body tensed like it already knew what time meant now. Even when the phone stayed silent, I felt watched by the future, like it was measuring my effort. I tried harder. I showed up more. I said the things I used to keep inside. I asked about his day and listened without planning my response. I reached for his hand first. At first, he seemed relieved. Then something else appeared. Caution. He smiled, but he studied me now, like he was trying to understand what had changed, like he was afraid the version of me choosing him might disappear again. The 7th call came earlier than expected. 3:12 a.m. You feel it, don't you? My future self said. This is where love starts feeling heavy instead of safe. I'm doing everything you said, I whispered. I'm choosing him. Yes, she replied softly, but you're choosing from fear. not from freedom. Her words settled in my chest, uncomfortable and true. I was loving like someone racing a clock. Every gesture felt urgent. Every moment carried pressure. I wasn't letting things grow. I was forcing them to prove something. He can feel it, she continued. People always can. The next evening, he finally said it. I feel like I'm being tested, he admitted. Like if I don't react the right way, you'll pull back again. I froze. That wasn't what I wanted. That wasn't what I meant to do. I'm just trying to be better, I said. I don't need better, he replied gently. I need real. That night, the 8th call came. My future voice was barely there now. This is where I lost him, she said. Not because I didn't care, but because I forgot how to breathe around him. I cried quietly, phone pressed to my ear. How do I fix it? I asked. You stop trying to outrun me, she answered, and start being present. The line went dead. The next day, I apologized. Not for the past, not for being quiet before, but for loving him like a problem to solve instead of a person to sit beside. Something softened in his eyes. I don't need you to be perfect, he said. I just want to feel like we're moving together. For the first time in weeks, I felt calm. No call came that night, but deep down, I knew there were still 2 left, and whatever they held wouldn't be stopped by effort alone. Can love survive when it becomes driven by fear instead of trust? The silence lasted 5 nights. No missed calls, no voicemails, no future version of me whispering warnings into the dark. At first, I was relieved. Then, I was afraid. I checked my phone constantly, half expecting the screen to light up at 3:17 a.m. When it didn't, I told myself this was a good sign. Maybe I had finally stepped far enough away from the path she had taken. Life slowed down, in a good way. We cooked together, walked without talking, just to feel the air. I stopped measuring moments. I stopped asking what they meant. I started being there. And for the first time since the calls began, love didn't feel like something fragile I had to hold perfectly. It felt ordinary, steady, alive. That was when I stopped hearing her. Not just the calls, her voice in my head too. The constant reminders. The fear of repeating mistakes that hadn't even happened yet. One afternoon, I left my phone on the table and forgot about it for hours. When I came back, there was 1 missed call. No timestamp, no future date, just my name. I stared at it for a long time before opening the voicemail. My voice sounded different, younger, like it was closer to the version of me I was becoming. You're doing okay, she said quietly. This is the part where I stopped calling because I thought I had finally learned. My chest tightened. So what went wrong? I whispered. There was a pause, a long one. I got comfortable, she said. I mistook calm for permanence. The message ended. That night, he told me he had been thinking about the future, about plans, about where things were going. A few weeks ago, that conversation would have terrified me. Now it felt natural. I'm here, I said. I'm not leaving. He nodded, but something flickered across his face. Not doubt, something heavier. I need you to keep choosing me, he said. Not just when things feel fragile. I understood then. The calls hadn't been about preventing loss. They had been about preventing forgetfulness. That night, there was no call, no voicemail, no warning. I slept through 3:17 a.m. for the first time in months. In the morning, I woke up calm, too calm, because deep down, I knew silence didn't mean the future had changed. It meant I was standing exactly where she once stood, right before the moment she stopped fighting. Do you think peace can sometimes be more dangerous than conflict in love? The 9th call came on a morning that felt ordinary enough to trust. Sunlight filled the room. My phone lay face down on the table. No fear, no counting, no anticipation. I had started believing the future had loosened its grip on me. Then the screen lit up. 1 missed call. Caller ID, my name. The timestamp made my hands go cold. March 18th, 1 year ahead, 3:17 a.m. I hadn't slept through it. I had silenced it. I opened the voicemail slowly, already knowing this one would be different. My future voice sounded distant, not broken, not angry, empty. This is the call I never wanted to make, she said. Not because it hurts, but because it doesn't anymore. My chest tightened. You didn't lose him in a moment, she continued. You lost him in comfort, in assuming love would stay without being reminded why it started. Images flickered through my mind. Nights I chose rest over conversation. Moments I assumed understanding instead of checking. Times I believed presence alone was enough. He stopped asking, she said softly. That's how you know. Tears blurred my vision. I thought being calm was enough, I whispered. So did I, she replied. I thought not hurting meant not losing. I was wrong. The message ended. That evening, I watched him closely, not with fear, with clarity. I saw how easily he smiled, how rarely he asked for reassurance anymore, how he leaned back instead of forward when we talked about tomorrow. I realized something terrifying. He wasn't unhappy. He was preparing. That night, I didn't wait for a call. I spoke first. I need to know where you are, I said quietly. Not what you think I want to hear, what you feel. He took a long breath. I love you, he said, but I don't know if you still choose me when things feel easy. The words didn't sound angry. They sounded tired. I reached for his hand. This time, I didn't rush. I didn't promise. I stayed. I choose you, I said. Even now. Especially now. He looked at me for a long time. I want to believe that, he replied. That night, my phone rang, not a missed call, an answered one. My future voice sounded close, almost relieved. There's one left, she said, and you don't get to hear it unless you earn it. The line went silent. I sat in the dark, phone pressed to my ear, realizing something I hadn't understood before. The future wasn't asking me to save love from loss. It was asking me to protect it from being taken for granted. Do you think love fades because people stop trying, or because they stop noticing? After the 9th call, I understood something clearly for the first time. The future wasn't reaching out anymore. It was waiting. No warnings came that night, no reminders at 3:17 a.m. The silence didn't feel peaceful now. It felt deliberate, like the future had finally handed me control and stepped back to see what I would do with it. I realized the last call wouldn't come to me. I would have to make it. The thought terrified me. Calling myself felt different from answering. It meant choosing to face the version of me who lived with the consequences. It meant admitting I might still fail. I waited until he fell asleep beside me. His breathing was slow and even, familiar, precious. I stared at my phone, heart pounding, and typed my own number. The call connected immediately. She answered on the first ring. I was wondering when you'd stop waiting, my future self said. Her voice wasn't sad anymore. It was steady. I'm scared, I admitted. I don't want to become you. She exhaled softly. I don't want you to either. Tell me what happens, I said, after the 10th call. There was a long pause. I don't know, she replied, because this is where our timelines separate. My chest tightened. I called to warn you because I thought love was something you could preserve by fixing moments, she continued. But I learned too late that love isn't about moments. It's about maintenance. I looked at him sleeping, the way his hand rested near mine, the quiet trust in his face. What did you forget? I asked. To keep choosing, she said, even when nothing was wrong. Tears slid down my cheek. I'm choosing him, I whispered. I know, she said gently. I can hear it in your voice. I never sounded like that again. The call crackled. You don't need me anymore, she added. That's how I know you're going to be okay. My throat tightened. Does he leave you? I asked. She hesitated. He doesn't leave, she said softly. He fades. And that hurts more. The line started to distort. This is the last time, she said. Whatever you do next is yours, not mine. The call ended. I sat there shaking, phone still warm in my hand. For the first time, the future felt unfinished, unwritten. I climbed back into bed and reached for him. Not desperately, not urgently, intentionally. Because the final call wasn't about preventing loss. It was about choosing love before it ever needed saving. Would you rather know your future pain or face it without warnings? The 10th call never came. I waited for it at first. Not with fear, but with curiosity. I half expected my phone to light up one last time, to hear my future voice confirm whether I had done enough. Days passed, then weeks. Nothing. At 3:17 a.m., my phone stayed dark. The silence no longer felt heavy. It felt earned. Something had changed in me. Not dramatically. Not in a way anyone else would notice right away. I stopped assuming love could run on memory. I stopped thinking presence alone was proof. I learned that staying wasn't the same as choosing. I chose him in small ways. I listened when he spoke, not just to respond, but to understand. I noticed when his energy shifted. I asked questions before distance had time to grow. I spoke appreciation without waiting for fear to force it out of me. Love became lighter again. One evening, months later, we sat together watching the city lights flicker on. He leaned back against me, comfortable and unguarded in a way I hadn't seen before. You feel different, he said. How? I asked. Like you're here, he replied. Not preparing to leave, not bracing for something. I smiled softly because he was right. I had stopped living with one foot in the future. That night, I checked my call history. 9 missed calls, 9 voicemails, no 10th. I understood then. The 10th call wasn't meant to warn me. It was meant to never exist. Weeks turned into a year. March 18th came and went. At 3:17 a.m., I was asleep beside him, breathing in the quiet rhythm of a life that hadn't been interrupted by regret. When I woke up, my phone showed no notifications, no missed calls, just the present. Sometimes I think about her. The version of me who made those calls, the one who learned love too late and tried to send it backward through time. I don't hate her. She saved me. Because the future didn't change by magic or fate or fear, it changed because I stopped waiting to be warned. I stopped loving like time was endless. I loved like it mattered, and that was enough. If love doesn't come with warnings, how do you make sure you never stop choosing it?